In 2003, gas hit $1.95 a gallon. We all said we were going to ride bikes to work, we were going to carpool, and we were going to sell our V8 trucks. What did we actually do? Hummer H2, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and American Chopper. We as Americans are going to get through this. So I want to catch everybody up on how this week went for myself and White Arrow and Machine Works. It was a lot of what would you call it? Turbulent. Turbulent wouldn't really be exactly the word, but maybe I can't even think. Roller coaster, something like that. Like it was definitely turbulent wouldn't I guess be the word either, but a lot of highs and lows. A lot of highs and lows this week. So we'll talk about the highs first. Big high was I sold an engine on my website to some guy that I don't know, and which that's how businesses work, right? Which probably isn't all that exciting, but to me that was a huge win. Somebody that I don't know, got kind of like word of mouth, heard about what I was doing and liked the fact that I break the engines in before shipping them out. That was something cool that he thought, and he bought an engine from me. He called me up on the phone, talked to me for a little bit first, and then bought an engine. So that was a huge win. I was like ecstatic. I called, messaged my mom and dad, all excited and everything, and man, it felt really good. It felt really good to get one in the win column, But then the buckets of cold water just came rolling in right after that. So he sent me let's back up a little bit. I have two Simonini 250 electric starts in my inventory right now. So two 250 engines right now, both electric start that I'm trying to sell. The one I bought from Matt, the distributor up in Alaska, he had it down here at Sun and Fun, and it made more sense for him to. I didn't buy it from him yet. I still have to give him the money, but he gave it to me while he's down here, and I just pay him back when I sell it. Because it saved him, the screwing around, shipping it back up to Alaska and all that stuff, because he didn't sell it at Sun and Fun. And then the other one was shipped by mistake by Simonini. They sent me. I ordered a pull start. They sent me an electric start, which made me, honestly, at the end of the day, that made me more confident in dealing with Simonini, because Paolo said, you know what, keep that engine, pay me when you sell it. We're going to send you the correct engine in the meantime. Cool, right? That right there was the best way to handle that situation, and I was fine with that. So I have two different people that I have to pay for an engine, but it's fine. It'll happen. So anyway, back to selling that engine online. Guy wants a pull start. So I messaged Matt up in Alaska, the Simonini importer. Hey, I need a 250. Send me an invoice. And a day or two later, he sends me the invoice, and he says, it's like, dude, I did the best I can, man. This is as low as I can get it. And I looked, and it was going to be $400 more than what I sold the engine for online. So it was going to cost me $400 to make this sale. So, and I understand it. Like, believe me, Matt's not trying to. I can go directly to Simonini, and if I want an engine, I don't have to go through him. I'm just doing it because I like the guy. He's a good guy, and I believe in what he's trying to do. And so I said, man, I got to figure something else out. I'm gonna see if Paolo can work with me. I could at least get maybe props a little, because the guy orders some props too. I can get props a little bit cheaper through Simonini. So I messaged Simonini this morning. We'll see what they say. Man, So I'm going to try and more I thought about it, I'm going to try and get the parts to convert those engines that I have here, and because the electric start's a little bit tougher of a sell. That people trust pull start more than they trust electric start only. So that's what they want. They either want pull start or dual start. So I'm going to see about getting the parts that are required to convert those two engines that I have, and I think it'll be easier to sell them. But anyway, the guy that placed the order and that, I've been working with him. He's a cool guy. It'll all work out in the end. He wasn't. Luckily, he understands it's going to take a little bit of time to get the engine, so it's not a problem. The other bucket of cold water, this one hasn't hit me yet, but so I use Squarespace for my website, and I'm not a computer guy by any means. I find that Squarespace is really easy for me to use, which is huge. And my website's pretty decent. You know, I've gotten a lot of compliments on it, and it's important to me to have a really, really good website. Here, I want to do a little bit of humdinger. Whatever. Yeah, I want a nice looking website. It's important. And Squarespace made that pretty easy. The guy paid me for the engine, but I find out that there is a 14 business day bank verification period for the payouts on Squarespace. 14 business days, basically almost 3 full weeks for me to get any of the money that customers have given to me on the website. What it is they're probably taking people's money and the payouts and things like that and throwing it into other investments, and they're screw around into money limbo ether land and of Netherland to secure their investments or whatever, and then they give you the money. It's got to be what they're doing, is they're investing that money in other things, and there's bank verification. So I put a note on my website, right at the top of the website. If you want to place any orders, contact me, email me, neil@whitearrow.com, and I'll ring you out another way. Because I can't, if I need to order something for you, like, I can't wait I don't have the money just sitting around to be able to do it. So that was the second bucket of cold water got thrown on, is the 14 business day bank verification period for me to get my customers' payment that they made to me. Thankfully, like, the customer wasn't expecting this engine anytime soon, so thank God for that. But still, it's just frustrating. There was another sale that I had. The second sale, that was another thing I sold, was Frank adapters. I sold a set of Frank adapters on my website, which is cool. That's awesome. I'm super happy about it. But there's, $190 sitting there that I can't get to because of bank verification. So for you that are thinking about doing a website or business or whatever, Squarespace was really easy to use, and makes for a pretty clean website. But bank, do something else for their payments, or unless you can, or figure something else out for that 14 business days. That sucks. I wish I would have known that and had a better plan for it. I didn't plan for it very well. I guess that's, read the fine print, right? Then the third bucket of cold water that was thrown on my elation of making an internet sale to a total unknown was the $269 tariff bill that I got from FedEx this morning for the engine that I sold to Scott a couple weeks ago. I guess it would have been that pull start that I sold to him. So that's, almost $269 on top of the $350 something in shipping per engine from Italy. So I raised my prices. You know, the $2,500 Simonini 250s. Those days are gone, man. There's still a Simonini 250 still, even tariffs and all this other stuff, is the best bang for your buck engine you're gonna get. They're still cheaper than a Moster, and you got way more power, and that's besides the point. I will do a 250 video at some point soon, but this is just more of a vlog to vent a little bit. Makes you, you know, I am trying to make a living doing this. I am not doing this as a hobby on the weekends to, you know, for something to do with my weekends, I guess. I don't know. I know that people like to start a paramotor business once they start flying. That's like definitely been a trend that I've noticed in the last few years, is you learn how to fly a paramotor and then 3 weeks later you open up a paramotor school. Like, that's a whole nother subject for another video, but you know, I want to devote my life to paramotor and move the sport forward and put real serious effort into making it better, not just as a hobby, but a livelihood. I think we need more people that are serious about it and taking it seriously and not just doing it as a side hustle on the weekends. Well, like, we really need it, because that's why we're paying. You know, you want to know why we are paying so much money for an engine with a chainsaw carburetor and some welded tubes. It's because if you sell 100 paramotors in a year, you're doing pretty good. That's the reality of it. Like, I don't think people really understand how small and niche the paramotor industry is. You know, going back to tariffs, the whole purpose is to spark U.S. manufacturing, right? Well, we are fortunate as it is to have paramotor engines the way they are. It was just the planets aligned, and that's what happened. So after World War II, in Italy, the Italians needed a way to get around, a cheap way to get around Italy, you know, countryside, whatever. And people did not have a lot of money after the war. And what ended up happening is people putting small two-stroke engines on bicycles. And then that evolved into scooters, because, you know, motorcycles, of course, were around for the Second World War and prior to that. But they would motorize their bicycles, and then they would have, you know, the moped, you know, the pedal with a little engine on it, the moped, and then scooters. Scooters are huge in Italy. The Vespa, right? It's like iconic for Italy, for Italians, for Italy. And Italians have this infrastructure for building small, niche little engines in small quantities, in big quantities, really. They can do anything with. When it comes to small two-stroke engines, like, the Italians are pretty damn good at it. And so when paramotor became a thing in the mid to late 80s, early 90s, there was a need for engines, and people were using steel chainsaw engines at one point. There was all kinds of attempts to come up with something. Well, what ended up working out is the small scooter engines from Italy. The Italians have all of this infrastructure. You go to Giuseppe's down the road and get a crank, and then you can go over to, you know, Leopold's over here and get a cylinder with a Nikasil, you know, nice Nikasil plating on it. And, you know, Lorenzo down the road's got a machine shop where he can make you some crankcases. Like, all that stuff is right there in Italy. And they're big into racing. They love racing. Obviously, racing is a huge part of their culture. So, Verazzi, for instance, was doing the pocket bikes, little pocket rocket bikes that were popular, kind of got popular here in the U.S. in the late, I guess, early 2000s or so. They were popular for a little bit. But the Italians were serious about it. They were racing them. And that's where Verazzi kind of got into the game at first, was making engines for those things. So these small, lightweight, highly powerful two-stroke engines were right there. And then I forget Mr. Orazi, and it would have been Orazi. Mateo's father, he got into paramotor and started making paramotor engines, and that's kind of where all of that started. And he wasn't the only one. Polini got in the game. Pirivolo got into it. There's a bunch of them. Like almost all of our paramotor engines come out of Italy because they have that scooter infrastructure, and that, again, the planets aligned where they had that infrastructure to be able to make these engines and sell them. And honestly, sell them reasonably affordable for the quantities that they're making them in. If Viterazzi made 1,500 engines last year, I'd be pretty surprised. Like the sport of paramotor has shrunk quite a bit in the last couple of years, and sales are way down for everybody. And at their peak, they probably made 2,500 engines in a year. If that gives you any, for the entire world, if that gives you any idea of how truly small all of this is, and that's why we see the prices that we do. And now with the tariffs, prices are only going to go up. And this is supposed to spark, make it in the U.S., right? American made. We're gonna do American made stuff. That's great if you make fucking bottled water, but it don't work so hot for engines. We don't have the infrastructure here to just do that. We could be great if I was in the bottled water business. I just take the Fiji label off and put Flint fucking water on it. Like, what the fuck, dude? It's just not, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't just happen overnight. You want to get where we have the infrastructure to make small engines that are going to fit on a paramotor in the quantity of like 50 of them for the first year. Who's going to do that? Who's going to go out on a limb and do that? Spend hundreds and hundreds of hours testing and developing, and that's just testing and developing your own engine. And then on top of that, manufacturing it. Iris Paramotor's working on it. Dimitri can do it. If there anybody's going to do it, he can do it. But that's a few years out yet, probably. None of this is going to happen overnight. Like our cost of, one of my other videos talking about how Chinese quality is catching up and probably surpassing U.S. quality as far as machining goes, because they have taken the human factor out of the equation, and it's basically all machine made now. Like these little things here, I'd be surprised if there was maybe one person read the 3D file just to look at it. I don't think there was hardly any humans involved, especially this was probably done on a Swiss turn. Knocked them out in all of about, 25 minutes maybe from program to complete. Every damn one of them is bang on too. I had a 2 thou tolerance on this shoulder here. Bang on, all within a couple of tenths of each other. Every single one of them. It came in flawless too. D-Bird. Man. I still hope for the best. Like I know I'm on the right track. This is my calling, and come hell or high water, I'm going to make it happen. But man, it's when you have a plan and it just kind of falls apart on you quickly. I'd hope to make, I'm trying to make a little bit of profit on these engines here, but I sure as hell can't sell them at a loss. So we're talking about kind of industry-wide here. We're talking about doing a tariff surcharge. So basically what it would be is a percentage of the products that you buy. Us as the vendors, the dealers, we will pay 5%. It's a total of 10% basically is what we're all kind of looking at right now. So let's just say 10% just for sake of simplicity. We as the dealer would eat 5%, and then the customer would eat the other 5%. So we kind of share the burden a little bit. I think that's probably the route I'm going to take as well. I have raised my prices online, and as they are right now, it's fine. But I think that's if fees and tariffs and all that stuff kind of go up even more, that's what I'm going to implement is the surcharge, tariff surcharge. So it was a cool week. I got, it still feels good to make some sales, even though it might cost me $400 to make a sale. Still feels good to do it. And I feel like I'm on the right track regardless. God has shown me all the signs that I need to know that this is the right way forward. So that's all I got for my RawDawg blank vlog. I gotta think of a word to stick in there. I don't really want to call it paramotor vlog. There's a bajillion different paramotor vlogs, and this is, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't need to. I'm not gonna be doing videos where I'm flying my paramotor to IKEA or Burger King or Chick-fil-A or something like that. This is a little bit different. So throw in the comments there if you got an idea. RawDawg, I can't even talk. RawDawg blank vlog. Let me know if you think of something cool. Thanks for joining me and hearing me out through all this. I'll get a little bit inside baseball with the paramotor industry stuff. We're a pretty small industry, so might as well be transparent about it. I think the biggest capital you can have is trust with people. People will trust is the name of the game. And the other main lesson that I've learned in paramotor industry is it's all about the long game. You got two options. One's going to be short-term game. One's going to be long-term game. You better take that long-term game. Short-term game does not pan out in paramotor. So really, thank you very much for joining me. And if you stuck it out all the way to the end, comment. I'm just curious to see if, I guess I could look at the analytics, but I'm curious. Thanks.